I think next we have a lightning talk from Jossef Kadouri. Um, but before that, I did want to obviously like call out as well. I think a lot of the proceeds that come from DevSecOn do go towards charitable trusts, looking at inclusiveness within technology. And I know, Vandana, you're really passionate about that. So I just wanted to take a moment just to appreciate that whilst this is amazing for knowledge sharing, there is, another really good reason behind all of this as well.
Totally
But
amazing.
amazing. So we
Absolutely.
might get Jossef on board. Just in like regards to the lightning talk, don't trust code from strangers.
Hi
Just
guys.
hello. We're glad to have you here, and especially the talk that you're gonna have is like don't trust code from stranger. That's something which interests all of us a lot, and that's like the need of the hour.
Yeah. So can you see my slides?
Yes, we'll just bring it in.
All right. Cool. So I have 15 minutes, so I'll try to be quick. Hi everyone. My name is Joseph. I'm heading the supply chain security engineering group at Checkmarks. Joined last year. Talking about software supply chain. This is a diagram, very simple to understand. I think we all uh, doing that in some way. Developers are writing code, source control is storing it. We have all kinds of build processes, CI flows, collecting dependencies, basically responsible for building up our source control, packaging up into a build artifact, might be stored somewhere, and then eventually being consumed by a different software or user. Um, Looking down at this software supply chain flow, you can see three major threats. You have source threats, build threats, and dependency threats. This was created by Salsa, but not this Salsa. It's a framework initiated by the Linux Foundation and now partnered with Google, Citibank, a lot of giant companies, basically creating the standard in software supply chain. I want to focus on this area, on the dependencies, because in my personal opinion, this is the Wild West. This is what scares me the most. And breaking it down and thinking about our dependencies, everybody's using open source. I mean, it's very great. I myself love to contribute into the open source and consume. Um, when we build application, ended up, compiling our software. It's mostly constructed from open source code. Uh, it makes sense because all of us developers basically wants to deliver fast and be more agile. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. I love to say a good developer is an efficient developer. So this makes a lot of sense. We're originally asking for specific dependencies, but we need to understand most of the time we're not asking for the side effects like the transitive dependencies. So we can end up with all kind of forests when we depends on specific packages, and then we end up with a lot of many. Giving one example is Cnc Js. This is what happens when you install it. You get 800 over 800 additional packages contributed from different over 600 different contributors. It's very hard to go through all of what you got, like when you install a specific dependency. Brings us with like a jungle of open source. The ecosystem is growing. Everywhere we see a lot of more packages being published into the ecosystem. Focusing only on npm, we can see as of today we have over 500,000 packages released every month, and we love to trust open source. And the reason we do that is we get the feeling that it's open for everyone to take a look at it. If there's an issue, some magical character will notice, and there are a lot of scoring mechanisms like stars and forks to rate and measure popularity of some of the projects. What I want to talk about now is like when we assess, and I would start to choose the popular packages, to choose the popular open source projects to be on the safe side. And I want to give a couple of examples when some of these popular packages went rogue and gone bad, eventually caused a lot of victims to be under attack. Meet Faisal, a very cool guy from Indonesia. He loves contributing to the open source. One of his cool projects called UA Parser JS. which is a small library published to npm to help parsing the user agent strings. Very compact, minimized, maintained a lot of years, over 10 years, and having more than 10 million weekly downloads. Very popular packages. It is used by many organizations, even Facebook. And you know what? Most likely, you're already using it, if not directly, transitively via one of your existing dependencies. Let's go back October 5th, 2021, not so far ago from now. On the Russian underground, hackers posted this message. I'm selling an account on npm.js, having more than 7 million weekly downloads. There is no two-factor authentication enabled on this account. It's suitable for all kinds of things: miners, creating a botnet, bidding starts 10K. Sounds interesting. Um, what happens a couple of weeks later is Faisal posted this message on his own project. He was saying that he's sorry and someone was hijacking his npm account, publishing a couple of versions containing malware. Sadly, what the attacker did, we know that someone was buying this publication on the Russian underground and published simultaneously three versions containing the same malicious code. This was the attackers preserved the original functionality to not causing any functionality damage, but to add trying to do that silently, to add a crypto miner and a credential stealer to all many victims using these packages. 2 weeks later, additional two packages, popular packages, were compromised. In this case, it was Koa and RC, command line parser and configuration manager, combined having over 22 weekly downloads. Same malicious code. Looking out at the timeline, we see the activity of this attack group. And it's a very sad case where we see a lot of innocent users relying on popular packages getting these bad malwares. Another example is a developer lives in California, goes under the name Brandon Uzaki Miller. He's a very cool guy, riding motorcycles, electric motorcycles, taking them to the track, has a YouTube channel. He's making a positive impact. He contributes a lot of packages, having over 40 packages on npm. One of them is Node IPC, used for inter-process communication. A very popular project, having over a million weekly downloads, maintained for many years. And a couple of months from now, not so far ago, on March 7, 2022, Brandon himself added a new functionality to his own project. This is the commit, and this is what he added. One line of code, breaking it down and prettifying what we see here is this code, very short code. Basically, what the code is doing is going into making an HTTP request into IP geolocation, a service, resulting with the country name and all kind of information where the request came from. And then Brandon checks if the country of the victims is coming from Russia or Belarus. Then let's wipe down his files on his computer. Basically sending a malware to Russia. He calls it a heart attack malware. Clears the content of existing files from whatever was stored in to heart emoji. This is his delete logic. You might be wondering yourself, why would Brandon, he builds up a name for many years, he contributes to a lot of projects. Why would Brandon flip and do such a thing? This was his way to protest against the Russia-Ukraine war. He was not willing to sit down and do nothing, and took a step and took side, in targeting Russian developers, victims, and wiping their computer. He was saying on social media, "You download my software, so I'm allowed to wipe down your computer." And it was the first time we saw the term protostware in use. Some of the I don't know, but some of the interesting comments were posted on these variant social medias. Brandon, that's abuse of power. Don't become what you hate. Thank you for teaching me not to take handouts and code everything myself or die trying. This one is hilarious. This this takes Let's Go Brandon to a whole other level. And this was causing us to think, Brandon has a lot of other projects. What about them? He still have access, even though even to Node IPC, he still have access to his other projects. And a good reputation is something that is very hard to build, but you can lose that in a snap. So Brandon lost his reputation in this case. And a lot of other examples where popular projects used by many users were gone bad is this list. But what I want to show you right now is how easy it is to publish a malicious package. This is called Package Lab. It's a tool created internally by our research team. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use an already created identity on Python package index, to publish a malicious package over there and show you how easy it is. In order to do so, we need to choose a name for our package. So I'll go with supply chain demo, and then choosing a version, I'll go with 1.2.3. This is optionally, but you can see in the next slide why it's important. We can select and state what is the source project on GitHub where this package is related from. So let's browse the trending projects and choose some random projects having a lot of traction. We'll go with this one. And this one is having over 9,000 stars on GitHub. A very interesting project. So this comes the fun part. This is where we can state our malicious code. When we plan this attack, this is the step we're currently at. We're going to publish a malicious package. Victim is going to install our malicious package, and then we're going to a service called pastebin, and we're going to store a code is going to be downloaded inside of our application and then injected runtime. And this is where our malicious code is going to play. Eventually, sensitive information such as SSH keys, environment variables are going to be exfiltrated into a webhook service hosted on InteractSH. And this is 2 lines of code we're going to add into our malicious package, an HTTP request into pastebin, and then statement, a built-in functionality in Python called exec. So whatever result from this pastebin is going to be injected into our application. That's it. Let's launch it. After a couple of moments, we are going to have our malicious package live. And even though it was published 10 seconds ago, our malicious package is highly popular. It has, looking down at the statistics, it has over 9,000 GitHub stars. This attack technique is called starjacking. We saw that in the past year used by many attackers, usually combined with all kinds of techniques such as typo squatting. But look how simple it is to publish a malicious package. No one checks whatever you provide, the metadata, the code. Very, very scary to me. From attacker points of view, whenever a victim installs our malicious package, you can have it multiple ways, either as a sub-dependency, but let's go down with simply like pip installing it, right? This is what happens, nothing very suspicious on the victim side, but from an attacker's point of view, you can see SSH keys, environment variables, a lot of sensitive information being sent. And breaking down the reason why it's that easy, we have no vetting. Accounts are being taken over, as we saw in one of the examples. We have a lot of automatic updates. It takes a lot of time to detect such attacks. We have a lot of moving parts. And eventually, what do we do? I want you to remember if there is a thing I want you to remember from this short talk is vulnerable is not malicious. Okay, we can live okay with some vulnerabilities because they are not applied on our application, but you never want to have packages or components containing malicious code. You need to get rid of them as soon as possible. The industry needs to share more information. We need better standards to catalog all of these supply chain incidents. We don't have a standard as of today, so each vendor is like creating its own IDs. So for the UE parser incident, this is like a couple of examples where every vendor created its own ways. Um, we're in this together. We share a lot of information with all of our competitors. Um, it's our software. It's our responsibility. Don't take code from strangers. And I'm inviting you to a talk next week at the Open Source Summit, where I will have more time to share more examples, more demos. It's called A Simple Yet Faithful Anatomy of a Software Supply Chain Attack. You're welcome to check it in. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Joseph. It was amazing. Like a quick and short talk you were talking about, and then
15 minutes.
punches, all of those things. They were amazing.
It was
Thank you.
truly
And
a lightning talk.
I'm looking at the timer and it's 15 minutes, so I'm glad. It was,
You've done well. And as you said, vulnerabilities, if it's vulnerable, it's not malicious. I think that's a great little takeaway from that talk as
thank
well.
you.
Great. Thank you so much, Joseph. We'll have you in our sessions, in our future sessions as well. Please do join our Discord community and check out the questions that people have asked.
Will do.
And thank you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, guys. Have a great one.
Thanks, Joseph.